Welcome to another edition of Arizona Wildcats Insiders. I'm your host, Troy Hutchison, and right now we are in the middle of the MLB All-Star break. Baseball is done right now for the next couple of days. All the stars and all the players are getting rest and geared up for the second half of the season. Why am I bringing up the MLB All-Star break? Why am I bringing up baseball? Well, that's because Arizona Wildcats have a rich tradition in baseball, in college baseball. 4 national championships, 44 total NCAA tournaments. You have 19 College World Series appearances. Arizona is one of the blue bloods of college baseball, not only college basketball, but college baseball as well. And one of the best players to ever come out of this university, to ever play at Arizona, is none other than Hall of Fame closer Trevor Hoffman. Now, while he was at the U of A, Hoffman never pitched a single game, which is odd to say when you're a Hall of Fame closer. But no, he played short. He was a sure-handed shortstop, one of the better defenders in the Pac-10 during his era, that hit 371, which was 35 points higher than his teammate JT Snow in his last couple of years. JT Snow was a phenomenal Giant, had a really good MLB career as well. But Hoffman soon transitioned to pitching, tried out to be a starting pitcher, got a little dinged up, and thus became a closer and became one of the best closers in baseball with one single pitch that made him absolutely devastating, and that was the changeup. For 18 years, Trevor Hoffman dominated the MLB as a closer, saving 601 games, second most all time, only to Mariano Rivera with 652, which is just really a season and a half of saves. And Hoffman played most of his career with the San Diego Padres, where he became notorious for the song Hell's Bells. And if you've ever heard Hell's Bells, you know that intro, that dung, dung, the bell going off, the bells chiming. If you are anybody in the NL West, a Diamondback fan, a Giant fan, I grew up a Diamondback fan. So if you're a Giant, Diamondback, Padre fan, or Rocky fan, or anybody in the NL in general, and you heard that done, you heard that Hell's Bells intro, you knew the game was over. You weren't scoring multiple runs off of Trevor Hoffman. You were lucky if you got one. You're talking about the second greatest closer of all time, arguably the greatest closer of all time. Trevor Hoffman never had the help of a New York Yankee offense, of a New York Yankees starting pitching staff, and multiple World Series. He was just his own man there, good bullpen, but Trevor Hoffman was the workhorse of that bullpen. But my point is, you knew the game was over. And the frustrating part was it was all off of one pitch, the changeup. You knew it was coming. You knew it was going to be around 79 to 82, and you still couldn't hit it. And you still saw players and batters swing at pitches in the dirt. And every time they looked at one, it was a strike because he was able to paint it. It was one of the most devastating pitches in baseball, and it's one of the most devastating songs in baseball, Hell's Bells. But that is our quick look back. You know, Trevor Hoffman was a 7-time All-Star. Surprisingly, he wasn't an All-Star more times than that. Played for the Milwaukee Brewers, the the Florida Marlins back then for a little bit, and the San Diego Padres, posting a 2.87 ERA with 601, 602 career saves. Again, this guy was an absolute legend and arguably the greatest player to ever come out of Arizona. To me, he is the greatest player to ever come out of Arizona, and left a tremendous legacy in the All-Star game, left a tremendous legacy in the sport of baseball. And the reason why we brought him up was MLB, right before the All-Star game, released their All-Star starting lineups, or All-Star starting teams for the NL and AL, and Trevor Hoffman was the starting closer for the NL. And I don't think you could have chosen anybody better than Trevor Hoffman. He is the GOAT, and he's the GOAT for a reason. So it's Trevor Hoffman, and it's Arizona. But now let's shift to the basketball court real quick. Recently, I released my greatest centers in Arizona basketball history. Arizona's had a long list of great players throughout its time, starting in the Fred Snowden era, moving into the Lute Olson era, all the way up here to Tommy Lloyd. It's a long, proud tradition of Arizona basketball that many fans believe started in the Lute era. And now Arizona being a powerhouse was definitely the Lute Olson era. but the blueprint was laid down in the Fred Snowden era, and you've had countless players from that point on, and even a little bit before that, that have made a lasting impact in this league, a lasting impact in college basketball, and a lasting impact at Arizona that will leave a legacy for a lifetime and are the gold standards of Arizona basketball. So we decided to break down the center position to start everything out. If you haven't seen the list, you can go ahead and check that out on our website. Arizona basketball all-time centers list is up there on Arizona Wildcats SI. But I want to do a quick breakdown of it because there's a lot of names that could have been on that list that should have been on that list that just didn't make the cut. It's a tough list to make. Arizona's had a lot of really good big men, not as great as the point guard position, which is going to be incredibly hard. But some guys that didn't make the cut, Jordan Hill. Jordan Hill was a tremendous big, a 3-year player, really transformed himself into what he was, into that first-round draft pick in the NBA, worked his tail off, Houston, Texas product, and just one of those guys that gave it every game. Every single time out, it felt like he was a walking double-double. And unfortunately for him, he played in the era where Lute Olson was retiring. You had Russ Pennell, you had Kevin O'Neal. I believe he was on possibly both of those teams. And he just, they never saw the highest levels of an Elite Eight Final Four national championship game. That squad got as far as the Sweet 16 with Russ Pennell. Just some bad timing with the coaching stuff going on for him, but he did not make the list. Number 2 is DeAndre Ayton. Everybody's going to name DeAndre Ayton as the greatest center to ever play at Arizona in terms of his talent, in terms of his size and capability. Pure talent, you're probably right. DeAndre might be the greatest Arizona Wildcat just off of pure talent alone in terms of what he can do on a basketball court. But 1 year at Arizona, and a year that obviously had a lot going on with the FBI investigation, but it was a year where even at the end of the day, there are some games where you're wondering, where's DeAndre Ayton? He'd finish with 10-5, and you're like, wow, that's the number 1 recruit in the country. That's the number 1 player in college basketball. And then you have some games where he dropped 24-19 like he did at Oregon when Sean Miller got suspended for 1 game. So you just never knew what you were going to get. And for that, we had to leave him off of the list. And other guys like Joseph Blair were very close, and among others, because there have been a lot of great centers. Ed Stokes, you could even say Caleb Tarzuski wasn't a great offensive center, but he was a great defensive center. They're just not making this list. So let's go to the list real quick. We got Sean Rooks at number 5. Sean Rooks was a part of the city skyline here in Tucson with Ed Stokes. Brian Williams was on the team. One of the taller teams Arizona's ever had, right before transitioning to a mainly guard-oriented lineup with Lute Olson. Sean Rooks had a tremendous career, got better each and every year, had the memorable game against Shaquille O'Neal, him and others, holding Shaq to around 10 points, seeing him foul out, and really dominating the big fella in the second meeting here in Tucson during the late 80s and early 90s. So Sean Rooks is on there. Number 4, Lauren Woods. Now, Lauren, he only had a 2-year career at Arizona. That's why he's not higher on this list. Transfer from Wake Forest, was part of maybe the greatest team in the history of this program, the 2001 Arizona Wildcats, the loss to Duke, that had countless NBA guys, some superstars like Gilbert Arenas and Richard Jefferson on its roster that had massive NBA success. But for Lauren, he was a shot blocking machine. I think he finished with around 189, 190 something career blocks. 100 plus of those came in 1 season, averaged around 4 plus, 5 plus blocks per game 1 year. I mean, just phenomenal shot blocker. And when you think of a defensive center, it is Lauren Woods in Tucson. So for that, he is number 4 on the list. Number 3 technically could be listed as a power forward, but he primarily played the center position with Tom Tolbert playing more of the forward, and that's Anthony Cook. He's the all-time leading shot blocker by 20 blocks. Just a tremendous talent, got better offensively every single year, and was on one of the better teams in the 1988 team that got to Arizona's first Final Four, kind of breaking down the barrier and putting Arizona back, well, not back, but on the map as a power program. So we have Anthony Cook at number 3 there. Channing Frye comes in at number 2. You can argue power forward with Channing Frye with Ivan Radenovich there, but he was mainly a center, played in the low post, didn't shoot the 3 ball back in college. Lute Olson didn't let him shoot the 3 ball, and his second all-time in blocks, trailing Anthony Cook by just 20 blocks. Tremendous All-American player out of Phoenix area. Went on to have a successful NBA career, a long NBA career where he developed the 3-point shot. But back in that era, it was Channing Frye and it was Tyler Hansborough as the 2 best big guys in college basketball. You could throw Emeka Okafor in there as well, but I don't think I would take anybody over Channing Frye. Just an automatic bucket and a great defensive player. Number 1, we're going to go with none other than Bob Elliott. To me, Bob Elliott is one of the gold standards of Arizona basketball. Coming in at 6'9", he played the center position. One of the better rebounders, was the all-time leading scorer for a long period of time until Sean Elliott came around, no relation, and broke that record. But he really put Arizona on the map, was part of the kiddie core, got to an Elite Eight, losing to UCLA. If they weren't so banged up, if they weren't missing some guys, they might have beaten UCLA, who went on to win a title. And, I mean, just really set the precedence of what it means to be an Arizona Wildcat. For that, Bob Elliott is number 1 on my list. So that is my list. There's the talk about Trevor Hoffman. I hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you next time.